This week in Ohio Country Today, our feature story is with Ben Jackson. He's the director of grounds for the Columbus Crew. He oversees a highly controlled growing system for the turf there in the new stadium for the Crew, and he just so happens to be the son of our own Gary Jackson. We'll have that feature story and more this week in Ohio Country Today. Rodock and Midway Trailers are Ohio's premier Thunder Creek dealers for fuel trailers and DEF delivery systems. Thunder Creek offers versatile, reliable, and best of all, legal transportation and handling for fuel and DEF systems. Let us know how our teams at Midway Trailers in Rodock can get you set up and ready any time of the year. For fuel and service trailers, economy trailers, service and lube trailers, double wall trailers, split tank trailers, bulk DEF trailers, and standalone DEF systems for trucks. Remember Rodock and Midway Trailers, Ohio's premier Thunder Creek dealer, with 3 locations to serve you in Delphus, St. Mary's, and Dayton.
It's a humble idea. Use a biological process to turn a plant into a power source. From that idea came the first Poet refinery. One biorefinery in one town turned into 27 facilities in 27 towns, creating new local jobs, producing hundreds of millions of gallons of ethanol, and providing renewable products around the world. Suddenly, that one little idea seems a whole lot bigger. See the world differently with Poet.
Alan Davis, business owner, active farmer. No one knows farmers' needs better than Alan. Give him a call today at 419-738-7447 and talk about total farm protection and more. Alan Davis Insurance Agency is your solutions provider for auto, home, life, business, recreational, total farm protection and more. Call 419-738-7447. That's 419-738-7447.
No one likes downed corn, but it happens, and when it does, you can't afford to lose any more yield. Pick up lodged or downed corn with the aggressive Drago Corn Head, available at your local Apple Farm Service. Longer and more aggressive gathering chains translates into the ability to pick up downed corn that sits lower to the ground.
Hello once again, everybody. We're at Lower.com Field at the new Columbus Crew SC Stadium, and I'm visiting with Ben Jackson. Now, full disclosure, Ben is my son, and Ben, you know, I've been dreaming about this possibility for a long time, talking with you about agriculture, soccer, and education, and I guess it's all coming to fruition today. So for the viewer, let's talk a little bit about your background and how you got here.
So I grew up, as you know, a big soccer fan, playing from the age of 5, and I still try to get out and play, although I don't have quite as much time now. And it kind of took me towards the sports path, and was always coming to Crew games as a kid. I think the first game we came to when I was 12.
That was at the Ohio State University. The Horseshoe was where they played, I think, for a couple of years.
Yeah, they played there for 3 years, and went to a lot of games there, and started going to Crew games when they built the old stadium, and was always playing in our backyard a lot, and through that was beating the grass up pretty good, and so I started trying to keep our backyard in better shape, and that's when I realized, and you let me know, like, hey, there's an option here if you want to pursue this in sports turf. And so looked into that and started taking classes at Ohio State for turfgrass science, and started working for the Crew. Got a part-time internship in 2002 through, actually, when I was a senior in high school, and through a mentorship class in high school, they linked me up with the head groundskeeper at the time, Darren Daly, and he was dumb enough to take me on, a super green and ignorant 18-year-old. And so through working here part-time, was started taking classes at Ohio State, and then just kept plugging away, and did an internship for the University of Colorado, their athletic department, for their football and soccer programs, and then the next year, that was in 2007 and 2008, went and did an internship in Blackburn, England for a Premier League team, and that was for 4 months during the summer. So got a lot of experience and high-end soccer experience there, and then came back and shortly got a full-time job. Went and worked out at the University of Colorado for a year, and just felt that I miss pro soccer a lot, and position opened up here, and came on as an assistant. And as people kept leaving and pursuing other things, there were options and availability for me to move up, and ended up being here during all this change the last few years. So in this role. So
I know there were a lot of decisions you had to make, and we can see now that you made, I guess, the right decisions with being here. I have to ask you, as far as new facilities, before the stadium was built and before this pitch here was put in, you had the opportunity to work and put in practice fields and other fields tied with the Crew's field, the needs of various fields, practice fields such as that.
Yeah, so we played around with a few things. I believe it was 2017. We sprigged one of our practice fields with Bermuda grass, which is just basically you're killed off the existing plants and sprinkled Bermuda grass over it, and it's so hardy that it grows and spreads so quickly that we had pretty good success with that, and we had that for 2 years, and the Bermuda grass was kind of a gamble on our part because we only had 2 training fields and a lot of play. We had a first team and multiple academy teams, and so the fields were getting beat up. So that was kind of our not a last ditch effort, but just an effort on our side to try something new.
Without putting in a completely new field.
Yeah. So the practice fields were extremely old and just not up to our standard, and so gambling with the C4 grass, such as Bermuda grass, warm season grass, and because it's so hard, it grows so quickly, recovers so quickly, and holds up a lot better than cool season grasses like your blues and your ryes. We felt that it might be a good option for us to get us through those summer months, which we typically struggled in. And it did really well during the summer. And one thing we came to find was that because it had so much play on it, we couldn't maintain it during its dormancy months. Basically, that stuff in this climate starts shutting down in mid-October, and then it doesn't really get going until about the end of May or June. It needs 90-degree days and 75-degree soil temperatures to really start kicking up, and so we just didn't have that here for as long a period as we needed. And
so you had the learning curve and experienced that full time.
Yeah. So a couple years went by, and the new ownership came in and new coaching staff, and they weren't crazy about how that field was playing, and so we made the decision to go back to bluegrass, and just kind of not do a full renovation, but kind of put another Band-Aid over it for the next couple of years until we moved into our new training facility here that just opened about a month ago, and it ended up being a really good decision because it took the field from being available for 6 months out of the year to 12 months out of the year, or give or take a couple months there in the winter when it was frozen. But that worked out well, and it seems like over my 20 years here, we've just been playing around with things and seeing what works and what doesn't, and just trying to provide as good of a playing surface for all of our teams here, first team, second team, academy, and we like to think that we've learned a little bit over this time, but I'll tell you what, you're learning something new every day. So moving into this new stadium presents a lot of unique challenges, and it's stuff we're in the thick of right now.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what you do when you move into a new stadium like this. What are all the things that you have to consider when you're putting not only the top layer, but everything that's underneath this pitch right here. What do you have to consider, and what are your options?
Well, the options are plentiful. You look at stadiums all over the world, and all of them are built differently. The biggest thing is you have to factor in is climate, and that's weather, temperatures, rainfall, that sort of thing. But then also and paired with that would be your playing schedule. When you're typically playing, we have a schedule that our first game's in the first week of March at the beginning of the season, and then last year, for instance, we made it to the finals, and so we were playing up until December 13th, I think was the championship game, and so it's a unique season, a very long season, and what I tell people is that we start playing before the grass is coming out of dormancy, and then we end after it's done growing for the year. So we never really have any breaks to do any major renovations to the field. So we're always looking at that schedule and seeing what where we can squeeze stuff in and make things work.
Closed captioning paid for in part by the following. Dye Real Estate and Land Company specializes in farmland and recreational land throughout Ohio. A company for people who enjoy the rural lifestyle and looking to buy or sell their land. All of our land agents are members of the Realtors Land Institute and have extensive experience in farming and agricultural land business. At Dye Real Estate and Land Company, we'll work with you to tailor-fit a plan that works best for you, your family, and your investments. Our services include 1031 tax-deferred exchanges, land brokerage, land auctions, and CMAs and valuations for estates and planning. We are Dye Real Estate and Land Company. Call us today and visit our website at dyerealestate.com. Dye Real Estate and Land Company. We know the land business because we live it every day.
What's 1/8 of an inch mean? If it's the gap in your cornhead's deck plates, it could mean losing 4 bushels every acre. That's why Drago invented their yield-capturing, self-adjusting deck plates. Deck plates that automatically adjust the size of the corn stalk. Ask your local Apple Farm Service to learn more.
The new Ag Pack is here at St. Mary's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, your exclusive certified agriculture dealership. Ag Pack is a powerful package of farm and ranch discounts and incentives worth thousands of dollars, absolutely free. Stop by and see Dave Hager, your ag commercial specialist, and ask about the vehicles, discounts, and incentives in the new Ag Pack.
You get straight talk, real service, and the right price. St. Mary's Chrysler, you get straight talk.
Our farm department is committed to providing ag professionals the products, coverages, and peace of mind needed to run a successful operation. With our home office located in the heart of farm country, many of us have first-hand experience when it comes to farming, and we know how to take out the risk. Under one policy, we can provide total protection of your investment, from your home and barns to your equipment and livestock. We also provide an outstanding equine coverage, from a homeowner with a single horse to a professional breeder and everything in between. Come join us and experience the Celina difference.
Now I know that there are a few, I guess they're not really tricks, but things you can do to start that root zone to be a little bit more active for those early games. Putting a tarp over the field. You have different kinds of tarps, a translucent tarp that allows the heat from the sun to go through, but then it traps the heat. But then with a new stadium, there are other things you can do, such as actually putting that warm air in the root zone. And that's got to be something that's makes a grounds crew pretty happy.
Yeah, it definitely is. So in the past, we really only, cost was always a pretty limiting factor, and especially once you get a field in, it's really difficult and very costly to go in and amend what's underneath. So with this stadium, we had the fortunate ability to address that stuff before we build it, and so as opposed to just having a basic sand profile with nothing really under it, some pea gravel for drainage. Here we have all that, but in addition to that, we have about 10 miles of PEX tubing with that goes back into a room back in the other side of the stadium, and there's three big boilers that will heat that glycol water up to 140 degrees, and we can run that water through this tubing that sits 10 inches underneath the surface. So it's in between. It's sitting right on top of the pea gravel layer underneath our root zone mix, and what that does is allows us to manipulate the soil temperature, and it makes the grass think that it's still a late summer or early fall day when it might be 30 degrees outside. That's something that is very attractive to us, and obviously we can extend the growing season and begin it sooner. But one thing that we'll have to keep in mind, and speaking with other groundskeepers around the league and around the world, will tell you that you have to be really careful with how you use that, because you can get into a situation where, say for instance, during the summer, we know it's warm, we know what the grass can tolerate as far as disease pressure and fertility and where we should be. This will be a learning experience for us, and a little bit of a learning curve, where we are pushing the grass further into the season, and so it opens you up to seeing new things and different disease pressures. And I've never fertilized a field in December or January, so playing around with that is talking with people and making sure we're doing what we can, but also making sure we're not doing too much or applying too much in certain situations is going to be important, because we're not going to have the flexibility to. There's not really any time for air, with how short our windows are.
I guess it all comes back to that root zone, and the stronger the root zone, the more firm the playing surface, and that provides two challenges that you need. You want to make sure that the players can play on a surface to enhance their ability, and at the same time you want to look out for the safety of the player. And if you have a weak root zone, then that turf on top might be a little bit weak and may not be able to stand up against that kind of pressure.
Yeah, exactly. So that's basically that's our number one priority, is making sure the field is safe and playable, and they're going to be happy with it. So the last thing we want is for something to be weak and have something rip up and cause an injury, or even cause something to go wrong during a game. And that's always a big fear for groundskeepers, is just making sure your team's happy and safe. We've got, in conjunction with the heating system underneath, we have sub-air tied into a big motor blower, basically, that's tied into our drainage system, and so it has the ability to either push air through that up through the profile, or pull air out of it. And so when you turn that on in vacuum to suck air out, it puts a downward force on all the water that's in our root zone, and so we can actually pull any water in our airspace in the macro pores, the pore space in the root zone, pull that out within minutes, and it's actually pretty cool. We've had we've seen a few examples of that, where we don't typically get pooling water on the field, but in some of our valve boxes that we have quick couplers in to tie in for water, we've seen some pooling there, and as soon as we turn the vacuum on, 4 inches of water will drain out within a couple minutes. So yeah, that's the water side of things is not a big concern, but the lightning obviously is something that affects everybody here in the stadium and everybody on the field. And so we don't like to play around with that, and everyone's safety is a very high priority here. So what we'll do is coordinate with the officiating crew and let them know as soon as lightning reaches a certain point, as soon as that storm system is within a certain distance, we're getting everybody off the field and getting everybody in the stands, out of the stands, down underneath in the vomitories and on the lower concourse, so they're protected from lightning.
But just for simple rain, with the roof here covering most of the fans, don't have to worry about that. Don't have to worry about the rain itself, other than the players getting wet. But then the footing should still stay like it was at the start of the match.
Exactly. It's a very different experience from what our fans are used to, and the ability to sit here in all weather conditions and know that you're covered and from the elements is very convenient. And I'd like to think that I think me, as well as everybody here, likes to think that it really adds to the experience.
Rodak and Midway Trailers are your source for Wilson Livestock Trailers. Reliable, lightweight, and durable, Wilson Livestock Trailers are your best value year after year. With attention to animal and operator safety, Wilson offers biosecurity and features more attuned to the needs and concerns of today's livestock haulers. Remember Rodak and Midway Trailers for sales and service of Wilson Livestock Trailers, with 3 locations to serve you in Delphus, St. Mary's, and Dayton. Now's the time to harvest more savings with New Holland and Apple Farm Service. Take home a new baler, mower conditioner, rake, tractor, or skid loader with 0% interest up to 60 months and cashback options. Hurry and stop into your local Apple Farm Service today.
Before we go, I want to touch a little bit on the internships that you were involved with, and at a very early age, you mentioned senior in high school, you knew that you had that opportunity to get an internship with the crew, maybe a little bit earlier than most people might think about, but that's true not only with Ohio State and the crew for college students, but maybe students that have an interest at a very early age need to take that look, and parents need to consider maybe allowing their students that opportunity to do what you did.
Yeah, I would highly recommend it, and honestly, it's from at least the sports turf side of things, somewhat difficult to find interns and students in turf that are interested in sports, and so it was very beneficial for me to get started early, and obviously I was a huge crew fan and just wanted to be a part of the organization. It's starting that early really gave me a head start on the experience side. By the time I came out of college, I'd had 4 years of multiple years of experience, and was much more marketable. Obviously, I kind of stuck around here, but I'd like to think that I would have been able to go to other clubs, and even possibly on the golf side, and be a lot more prepared.
But you also went beyond a college degree and received additional certification to enhance what you were able to do and educate yourself so you knew a little bit more.
Through the Sports Turf Managers Association, they do offer a certification that really just helps set it. Basically, you can show to employers and other people in the industry that you don't just have the degree, but you know enough to all-around experience and education to really be successful, and so that was helpful too, and there's more folks getting that every year. It's been really cool to see.
Well, I know you're a busy guy, and we want to thank you for taking the time to visit with us today. If anybody would have some more questions, would want to find out about turf management and the jobs available, I'm sure you'd be able to talk with them and maybe give them some ideas which way they might want to go. What's the best way for them to get in touch?
Probably through my email, which is bjackson@columbuscrew.com. I would love to speak to any interested students or just any person out there that was interested in the industry and wanted to learn more.
I suppose there are times of the year that is better for making that connection with potential interns?
Yeah, I would say usually in the winter, because our typical internships, run from May to August. They kind of follow that school schedule, the summer break, and so a lot of internships are you kind of set in the winter when you're most groundskeepers a little bit of a slower period where we're doing lots of our planning and preparation for the next year. So usually I would say the late fall, beginning of winter is typically the best time to reach out and pursue that.
Okay, very good. Well, we want to thank you for taking the time, and hopefully the viewers know why I'm pretty proud of this young man. And Ben, thanks again for being with us, and we'll be coming to a few of the matches here later on this summer. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
It's hard to talk like this without giving my son a hug. So thanks again, and we'll be right back with more on In Ohio Country today.
Devin Dye from Dye Real Estate and Land Company invites you to a 388-acre auction September 14th in Convoy, Ohio. 388 acres will be offered in 5 tracts, individually, in combination, or as a whole. Online bidding is also available. Contact Devin Dye today at Dye Real Estate and Land Company, or check him out on the web at dyerealestate.com. You don't want to miss this 388-acre auction September 14th, 6 p.m. at the Convoy Community Building in Convoy, Ohio. Dye Real Estate and Land Company. We know the land because we live it every day.